Hello everyone, today I will review a fast 3D printer that made a quick entry into the world market, Flashforge Adventure 5M Pro. Even though some of us might have just heard its name, Flashforge is actually one of the established 3D printing brands in the market. They are producing 3D printers in many different types, from desktop to industrial type to resin printers. Today I am going to review the Adventure 5M Pro model with the sponsorship of Flashforge. Let's see what this new printer has to offer us. Let's start examining its features right away. Adventure 5M Pro has a metal structure and plastic outer body. The front and top covers of the printer, which can be made fully closed when desired, are made of transparent acrylic material. There is a 4.3-inch color touchscreen in the upper right corner of the device. The interface is easy to use, the design of the printer is compact, the spaces inside are used very well, there are no unnecessary gaps in the printing area. The printing surface of the 5M Pro, using PEI coating spring steel as a printing surface, is 22 cubic cm. The bed leveling is done completely automatically. There are pressure sensors under the plate, and the nozzle can precisely measure at which point and at what level it should be by touching many points thanks to these pressure sensors. The printing surface, set on a solid structure, ensures its movement on the Z-axis through a single motor. In the back, there is a trapezoidal screw shaft and two supporting steel shafts, while there is also a trapezoidal screw shaft and steel shafts on the right and left front. The power from the single motor in the back is transferred to the front via belts. The device with the core XY system performs its XY axis movements on two steel shafts on the head and one on each side, right and left. An innovative, practical, and significant feature of the printer, which has a direct feed extruder, is also found in this printing head. When we want to change the nozzle, after carefully removing the ferment, what you simply need to do is gently press the latch on both sides and then pull the nozzle. Then, all you have to do is push the new nozzle in the same way. There are two HEPA carbon filters on the back of the box. Specifically, one of these filters only filters the air inside without expelling it, while the other filters the air as it expels it respectively. And according to Flashforge, it can filter out volatile organic compounds that could be harmful to our health by up to 95%. Models sliced for the 5M Pro, which also has wireless connectivity, can be sent remotely. And it is possible to interfere with settings like temperature, printing speed. Or via its internal camera, you can watch the printing live. Or you can shoot accelerated videos. We've come to the speed information of the 5M Pro. The age of speed has begun for 3D printers. With all these features, the Adventure 5M Pro can reach up to 600 mm per second with an acceleration of 20,000 mm per square second. 5M Pro has the features we expect from high-end printers recently, and it looks pretty good on paper. So how is the printing quality? We are starting to examine that now. Our classic start test printing model is the benchy boat. The first print was already set up in the printer and was printed in just 14 minutes, which is indeed quite a very short time for a benchy test model, especially for a printing of this quality. But I said this is a strange benchy. The protrusion at the back is the first noticeable part, but when you pay a little more attention, a lot of different points were striking. There was also a small flaw on it. I said, let me take a printing of this with my own settings again. I also took a printing of the original Benchy model. The only flaw in the other weird Benchy that point is not in this printing. It's indeed a very nice test printing from every angle. This model is a test model with preset settings in the printer. A dragon, it's a movable model but a single piece. As printed, I definitely don't see any problem in its moving joints or on its surface, absolutely. There's just a little bit of stringing at some pointed spots on the head and body. I really like this color. It's from Essun's E-Silk PLA series. E-Silk consists of such bright colors. I bought a vase print with a modern look. The printing surface turned out beautiful as well as the color. The surface is completely flawless. Although there are some unsupported right angles on the upper parts of the model, there is almost no sagging on it. Stylish, successful print. Continuing with PLA prints, it was filament that came with the device. It's a color that subtly shifts from green to purple to blue, like a spinning top. This is designed as a bookshelf decoration. You put it between the books as if it appears to be coming out of there. It has a nice sense of humor. The printing quality of the model is also nice. A print taken between 150-300 mm per second speed values. However, there is not the slightest mistake. I can say that this printing is also completely flawless. Again, a PLA printing. Actually, I didn't print this to test the printer. In my previous review video, I conducted a review of the Revopoint Miraco Pro 3D scanner, to be honest. I had an original model that I printed with a different 3D printer, and after scanning it with a scanner, I wanted to print the scan file as well, and I did that printing with the M5 Pro. Precisely and successfully. I don't want to go into too much detail about printing. As I said, this was not actually a test model for me. But if you want to see these very detailed details of both the original model and the printing obtained after scanning more closely, you can also reach the Revopoint Miraco Pro review from the label above or the description below. And the last PLA printing before speed tests, I was incredibly taken with it when I saw it. I said I'd print this in the first review video. The model consisted of 10 pieces. It can be printed without support. I downloaded the model from STL Flix. There are different models similar to this. Saving them for next review videos. Printing quality had already shown itself in first 1 or 2 tries. It continued same way in this model too. The surface quality is very good. I wanted 100 microns or 0.1 millimeter layer quality, so the head part looks nicer. The surface came out nice, but there's a bit of stringing. It can be cleaned easily. Holding a lighter to it, those strings melt right away. Again, there's a bit of stringing formed at the sharp parts at the end of the rod. However, it's at a low level as it is on the face. There's nothing negative to say about the overall surface quality. Every piece looks quite nice. I likened this axe to a weapon from the legendary computer games of my childhood, Heretic. Of course, it wasn't used as an axe again. It is held horizontally. There was fire coming out of its tip. Young people don't know that when computer games first entered our homes, there were floppy disks. We used to load the games onto that floppy disk and take it. Heretic was also a floppy disk game. Still playing? It seems I'll likely be stuck for a few hours after this video. Now let's move on to the next edition. Next is a PETG print. What you see is an incense burner. This character is a warrior, and instead of a sword, we put an incense in his hand. A creative and pleasant model. I had used this PETG filament in previous reviews as well. Asun's solid blue color. It has a beautiful surface. Of course, it doesn't end with the filament. As you can see, there is no problem on its surface. The bottom base is the same. Even though there isn't much of a surface for evaluation, I can still definitely say it's a nice and smooth printing. Now we continue to review with TPU, which is flexible filament examples. Our first model is a phone case I made for Samsung S24, which I just couldn't shoot the review video. When we switch to the model, there are natural sagging in places printed without support where a few lines have formed. The most important point in this model was that the first layer printed flawlessly, because this is the surface that will be seen the most when using the case. As you can see, there is no problem at the first layer. The nozzle is neither too far from the table nor too close, just as it should be. The other model also turned out quite nice. There's just a bit of sagging on one corner of this shield that's at a right angle. Right angles are always a problem with TPU. Sometimes there can be such problems because it doesn't cool down as quickly as PLA PETG. Other than that, the overall surface quality is quite good. I don't see any printing errors or issues. Adventure 5M Pro is a very suitable printer for processing industrial plastic types such as ABS, ASA, both because it is a closed case and because its table nozzle temperature can go up to 280 degrees. I also did a few printing trials with these materials. The printing taken with the spear should be a windmill. I did not face any difficulty with printing consisting of 4 parts. The most common problem encountered in ASA is not getting up from the build plate, then it cracks between layers. Neither problem exists in this printing. I got these printings without even applying adhesive to the board. Surface quality is successful. The layers have come out very nice and smooth. Just on the top surfaces of these circular parts, some nozzle marks are noticeable, but I don't think this is a serious mistake. I took the printing of 5 parts of 2 models with ABS. One of these is a wall mount used for a guitar. The small part is mounted on the wall. You attach the large piece to this. On the large piece, there are streaks where there are sewing marks, which is a flaw. Actually, this is something that can be corrected with different settings. I can say that it is due to the setting and not the printer. Other than that, the printing is fine. I am unable to detect any lines or marks on the surfaces at this moment in time. The small piece is indeed the same. The layers are truly flawless. Despite the sharp edges of this piece and not applying adhesive to the plate again, there was no lifting at the edge corners. I really like the surface quality of ABS. Just like in PETG, these ESUN filaments also have a kind of caliph-like texture of ABS. When I processed the material nicely on 5M Pro, I said let's work on one more part. This is a piece designed to make the grip of the Nintendo Switch Lite game console you see more ergonomic. Actually, there are 3 pieces. There is no flaw in the model. Actually, everything is there. Right angles, supports, sharp-pointed parts, smooth transitions, circular lines, all are there. There's no fault. The printing quality is very good. Also, these are prints taken at 100-200 mm per second speeds. The supports were also easily removed. Of course, this has to do with the settings, but the printer's features are somewhat secondary at this point. However, we can generally say that the 5M Pro has successfully passed the ABS and ASA tests. Now on speed test, a classic of my review videos. Printed same model at speeds of 50, 150, 300, and 600 mm per second. Increase not just speed, but also acceleration along with the speed for more accurate measurements. And in this test, I used Rapid PLA, which Eligoo specifically designed for fast printing. This is an Eros. Eros is the god of love. He makes couples fall in love with each other by shooting arrows at them. If I had done the review on February 14th, it could have been much more beautiful and meaningful. Anyway, let's bring the details of the models side by side and look at the differences in printing at each speed. I'm starting from the lower base. Let me say this first. In my opinion, this part is not suitable for printing without support. The designer said you could print. But there are too many right angles, and since they were pressed without support, they all sagged, so I won't accept this as a mistake. But I can only say that the sagging at 600 mm sec is more than the others. Besides, there is almost no difference in the overall surface quality. All the indentations, protrusions, patterns have come out clearly. The body part shows no noticeable change without fine details. The general lines or the arrow and bow rising separately from the body look nice. I was particularly curious whether there would be any slippage in these parts, whether the layer traces would become more pronounced, or especially if there would be any stringing. However, everything is quite nice. There is no difference at arrow right angles. This model, by its nature, looks like a statue made of stone. Therefore, the outer surface is textured. This actually made it difficult to see the changes on the surface. I can still say that at the slightly rough points where the chest and arm meet, the effects of vibration increase. As the speed increases, we actually see a similar situation in facial lines as well. Generally, I can't say there's a printing problem again. His eyebrows, eyes, dour looks, curly hair, etc. are very clear. But if you look very closely and pay attention, you can also notice the vibration effects on his jaw and such that increase as the speed increases. I was also curious about the wings because it has a structure that invites full stringing. However, there is no stringing. The slight deterioration in surface quality has become more noticeable as the speed increases. When I first saw it, I thought this model would definitely be nice for testing because it has very sharp points, fine details, thin parts detached from the main model, places where it could stringing, and so on. Actually, I got what I wanted from the model and was able to show you as well, but something was missing. It didn't quite sit right with me because there are very few completely smooth points on the model. And actually we can observe the effects of vibration, that is the effects of speed, a bit more clearly at smooth points. Therefore, I got the printing of this Deadpool bust, whose details and surface smoothness I know. The head part was important for me. That's why I actually cut the bottom part. I thought there would be significantly more differences before taking the printing, but I encountered less difference than I thought. The effects of speed-related vibration are quite low. I can say there is no difference between 50 and 150 millimeters per second speeds. The vibration effects are slightly vague at 300 and 600 millimeters per second. The most easily noticeable point among all the printings has been under the chin where the model makes a right angle. There is no sagging and distortion up to 300, but sagging and surface distortions have started at a speed of 600 millimeters per second. Of course, don't forget this. Experienced users would know this, but it's beneficial to inform new users. Even though we set the slicing software to 600 millimeters per second, the printer cannot reach that speed at every point. Edges, corners, deceleration and accelerations at these points, and flow rates have a significant impact on the speed. That's why, as you can see in the printing times, the duration does not decrease directly proportionally. There are many parameters in 3D printers. 2 times 2 does not always equal 4. When we look at all these models, I think the speed tests pass quite successfully. The device's sturdy structure, vibration sensor, and extruder system have worked beautifully in combination. Therefore, the speed has not had a very negative impact on the printing quality. I think similar things not only in speed tests but also in other printings I have received. I have been using this device for almost a month and I have not encountered any printing error or any problem that upsets me. I also mentioned it in the phone case I got with TPU. The first throw is nicely spread because automatic bed leveling works very well. I printed and walked away and had no first layer problems. I liked the extruder system. It was a great comfort that the nozzle could be changed so easily. Because sometimes, even if you need it aside from clogging, you might be too lazy to change the nozzle just for this reason. At least that's how I am. Here, Flashforge has actually completely solved this problem. Of course, since the nozzle is a system that does not separate from the hot end and the heater, this has negatively affected its cost. When you try to change the nozzle of Flashforge, you have to pay slightly more than what you pay for standard nozzles. The screen sometimes responds late, especially after you've done a task like the printing is done, you're going to exit that page or give another command. You don't need to rush too much. The interface is not working fast. This could be related to the screen, software, or processor. My advice is to wait around 5 to 10 seconds if the device does not take commands and then give the new command. Also, don't leave unnecessary G-code files in the device's memory. If you're done with the printing, delete the excess files. This can also help to speed up. Its camera is quite mediocre. You can take very low quality photos and time-lapse videos. I couldn't even use it in the opening of this video, so the shots I made. If you say you will shoot a video with this camera and share it on social media, you won't get a result, but I can check the status of printing from a distance. If you say it's enough to see if there's a mistake or not, the camera can be used. The printer has an automatic shutdown feature, which I think is definitely a pretty nice feature, because I'm someone who takes printing day and night. Sometimes the end of the printings drags on until midnight, even after midnight. If you were asleep at that time, well, the device stays on until morning. In 5M Pro, if you want, the device automatically turns off after a certain period of time after your printing is finished. Actually, it doesn't completely cut off the power, but it can put itself into sleep mode. The 5M Pro makes noise like printers with large cooling fans like itself. In the sound tests I conducted, with all fans off and covers open, I obtained a result between 60 to 63 decibels at a speed standard for fast printers like 120 meters per second. Since the body and fans will be fully enclosed in materials such as ABS, I tried this as well. When I printed at the same speed, the sound decreased and reached 54 decibels. If you ask what this sound I'm indeed demonstrating means, if sound is an important criterion for you, you wouldn't want to stand next to the printer too much while getting prints during the day. Therefore, it might be good for you to have the printer in a different room. I always stood in the middle room of the house while getting the printings. I didn't feel any discomfort while getting printings during the day or at night. I can say that it is a suitable device for those who want to work with industrial filaments such as ABS want. Since it has a compact structure, it preserves the internal heat well. One of the most important points when using these materials, they also considered the double filter thing. While printing the ABS wand, you can filter out the odor and organic compounds mixed into the air by simply using the internal filtration system. But I always say, especially when printing materials like ASA, ABS, even if there is a filter on the device, don't neglect to ventilate the environment for your health. Yes, that's all the information and experience I have about Flashforge Adventure 5M Pro. I hope this has been a useful video for you and I was able to give you an idea. I recommend it. They made a really nice printer. If you want to buy one, I added the product link in the description. May your printer work and your prints be perfect. See you in the next video. Take care.